Sorry. Okay.
With the season kicking off next week, you guys have been to that stadium, obviously, you've seen it all, but have you guys thought about kind of maybe the pressure to get to a Super Bowl this season with the Super Bowl being played in SoFi Stadium?
I don't know if you think about any added pressure with it being at the stadium. I think the expectations for us are always set high just because of our goals, our expectations, our mentality, the things that coaches said around here, the things that the Rams have been able to accomplish over the past couple of years. I think we got high, lofty goals because of those reasons, not just because it's in our stadium. Now, it is nice when it being in our stadium, having an opportunity to be the second team to do that, maybe possibly back-to-back, is always nice things. But, really the goal is always going to be that no matter where it's played. But it's always fun when you got a team that's capable of doing something and you go into a season looking forward to it.
You'll notice a theme here. Do you think this defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense?
What is a Super Bowl caliber defense? It's one that can play together. It's one that can think the we not me mentality that we have as a team. It's the one that can go out there and find a way to make a difference plays that can turn around games no matter what's going on. Coach put it best this morning. We talked about the truest of characters when the guys go through something and have those guys bounce back. So what can we go through this year to be able to fight back and to be able to go through those moments where you need to go through that you need in order to win those type of games, in order to be in those type of moments, in order to put yourself to being the very best. Our goal is always to go out there and be the very best, particularly mine. I can't lie to that. I want to be the very best every single year at everything that we do. That mindset will never change, and I believe I found a nice marriage with these guys and this group of guys to go get that done.
Do you think you have the pieces on defense to be the top-ranked defense in the NFL?
Again, the concern with the top-ranked defense is just not one that I invest in with you guys. When you look back at those things, you love those things. Those are great individual accomplishments. Those are great defensive accomplishment, but it's just more team-oriented. And then whatever it takes to go out there and compete and to win and to do all the things that we want to do at a high level is what I'm more interested in. When you look back on those things, and I'm old enough to sit around and not be coaching anymore, maybe we'll talk about those things and have some pride about them. But right now, I just want these guys to go out there and compete at the highest level, at the best level they can.
What are you seeing at that outside linebacker spot opposite of Leonard?
So it's funny. We started off and you see, Hollins go out there and get a real opportunity. And man, are we lucky to be able to fall into a guy like that last year, to be able to come on your team, find a way to contribute, and to really be, become one of our team leaders and become one of the guys that can go out there and actually communicate with the head coach and communicate with his defensive coordinator, along with his outside linebacker and Thad, coaching Thad. And then you start to see other guys emerge. You start to see the emergence of Obo and what he was able to do to make the 53-man roster. And then you got lucky and you started to see Law Dog come across in the preseason. And you've seen Chris Garrett come across in the preseason. And you've seen everybody in that room. You've seen T. Lou come back, getting healthier and getting stronger. And you just see the competitive nature from all those guys, even some of the guys that are no longer here, and how competitive they got, how good they got. And that's just a credit to what Thad's been able to do with those guys. Being a young position coach with a young group, that guys that just really work hard every day. That's just probably as close to the media as they can be when they talk about individual drills. So you guys see it every single day.
Jordan Fuller, how would you describe his personality?
Captain Fuller, man. Fired up to see him, man. It's something that we're all proud of. The guy is just an even, calm, nothing's going to bother him type of demeanor that you need to have that green dot. He's got great range on the back end. He plays with ultimate confidence. He's an easy guy to coach and talk to within all of the fiery moments from a coach, from a player, from any standpoint, to be able to communicate whatever you need to get communicated from as far as your group. And you just love being around the kid, man. You don't luck into those kind of kids. This organization did a great job with Les Mead and all of our scouts going out, recruiting, finding, and looking at these guys, really diving deep into them and finding out who they were as people. And we hit the jackpot with that young man. No, you're good.
How rare is it for a guy as young as Jordan to have that kind of role and responsibility in your experience working with defenses?
It's really rare. You're talking about a special human, though. You're talking about a guy that stepped in. I forget what round he was actually drafted in, maybe the 6th. And I actually knew that, Lindsay. I was just trying to be humble. You messed up my whole spiel right there, Lindsay. No, I'm just kidding. No, he came in at a 6th round pick and be able to come in and become a starter. go through some adversity, fight through an injury, be able to bounce back. And now you come back, attack another offseason. You attack the offseason with a new coach on defense, somebody you got to help out and somebody you got to teach how to communicate with you. Then you meet with that guy and you get a chance to bond with him through a training camp and to watch him grow with his team. His team, vote him as a captain, that is extremely special and extremely rare. And it says it all about the young man.
That happened.
Say it again?
That happened.
Well, we just announced it after practice, so I'm assuming that happened. I'm sure Coach probably will tell you guys when you get an opportunity, but for that to happen is phenomenal.
I guess just to follow up on that in terms of that rarity and uniqueness, how long does it usually take guys to settle in and kind of earn that role? I'm sure it's usually longer than, after their first season.
Everybody's a little bit different. I've been around a couple of fortunate guys that's come in and contributed. I don't know if I've been around a guy like Fuller who could come in, contribute, and also take a leadership role and take a certain responsibility to his guys with examples. But no doubt about it, take a leadership role as far as examples. And he's been a stellar example for me since I've been here and for his guys.
Thank you. So I imagine you can't wait to get to next week and really start game planning.
I enjoy the preparation so much. I enjoy the process. I think that's the thing that keeps you in it, no matter what's going on. I think if you can enjoy those moments, the process, the preparation, the planning, that all goes into what's going to happen. And then the games are so much fun. You can't wait to go out there and see those games, to see these guys play, to get them out there. The meeting rooms are all great. The practice field, the intensity is all wonderful. But when you get to that stadium on Sundays, and it's the best feeling in the world, and I can't wait for that to start.
All set.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Reed. Appreciate it.
See you next month.
September 3rd.
That's my birthday.
I know, mine too.
Oh, is it really? Look at you, Virgo.
I'm looking up.
What are we doing Friday?
Big day. Day off.
Oh, I'm so old. Don't get my
Okay, sorry, no, but I saw that.
That's what I'm talking about. I knew we had a bond.
And a day off? That doesn't always
It's kind of a day off. My coach makes it work half a day.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I missed anything at the beginning?
No.
Makes sense.
What's up, guys?
Are you able to share with us why Matthew Stafford couldn't participate today?
Yeah, it was just kind of a scheduled rest day type thing, knowing where we'd be at from a standpoint of volume and kind of making sure he got his work yesterday. We have everything kind of mapped out leading up to the first game so that those guys will get all their work. It was just one of those things, giving him kind of that rest day. He was still mentally all in, and we had some great meetings and great prep as a unit, so we're in a good spot.
Is it hard to get him to take a veteran rest day? I mean, it's a guy who wanted to practice with Jeffrey bruised his thumb.
Yeah, I think it's all, you're always holding some of these guys back. That's a great part about our group is, very rarely is it by choice that guys are doing things like that. So it ends up being more so we trust our health staff with Reggie's one of the best that I've ever been around, and our whole sports performance team does such a good job with our guys. As a coach, you kind of sometimes you just kind of stay out of the way and make sure that the players know you're all on board with it, and we keep it moving.
How did John Wolford look going with the ones, and do you structure a day like this differently, knowing that these are pretty significant reps for a guy like him?
Yeah, John had a good day, really competitive work. We're still kind of in that mode of running our stuff and haven't quite completely locked into, exact looks that we'll be working on next week. But for John, even going back, when he did have that time missed in training camp, every rep we can get him now is really good. And he's in a good place right now, volume-wise, throw-wise, all the things that we kind of build up towards the season doing. But getting him a full day kind of in that first huddle, anytime you can get that for your number two guy, it's huge. As long as it's not at the the sacrifice of the starters reps.
What do you see of Sony Michel?
Yeah, obviously as advertised from a standpoint of his balance, and you can just see his contact balance, and just he's got very powerful presence when he's got the ball in his hands. We're still he's still learning. It's completely different. In a roundabout way, I've been in that offense before, so I know how much different that verbiage is, and he's going to be working through it. He's out there right now, right over your shoulder with Thomas Brown, working on some things, and it'll just be incrementally better every day for him. And just talking to him, once things start to slow down mentally, I think we're really going to start to see him get comfortable and take off.
Are you able to translate in some way?
Yeah, it's a really good question, but in a lot of ways you got to be careful because we're hoping he's around here for a while, obviously, and helping us. So you want him to learn it foundationally the right way. And trust me, as much as I've bounced around as a player, I did a lot of hey, that was just like this at this old place, and it wasn't always the best way to learn it, long term. So we got a really good teaching progression here that we've kind of put together for all the positions. On offense, and Thomas Brown, there's nobody better to have working one-on-one with him, getting him ready to go.
Realistically, how prepared will he be playbook-wise by September 12th?
Yeah, I'd like to think he'll be ready to go. I think at that point, you decide how we're going to use the personnel that are up for that game at that position, and really make sure that we've got the guys doing things that they're not only comfortable with, but that can excel, in their role in that game. So. A lot of time, a lot of work on this practice field to still come for us, and we're definitely working our way to that September 12th.
With the addition of Stafford and Jackson, and now Sony Michelle,
yep.
How much pressure, if any, do you guys feel as an offense to get to the Super Bowl, especially with LA, the SoFi Stadium being the host site?
Yeah, I think that anytime you have the type of skill sets we have, both on the offensive line, the quarterback obviously, and at the skill positions, it's good problems to have when you have that much to work with. Experienced, talented guys, explosive players, guys that understand how they fit into the confines of what we're trying to do. So as a coaching staff, it's more of a fun pressure, if you will, of making sure that every single day we're building this thing in a way that is moving towards that first game, and how we want to obviously activate things for certain opponents this year, and how we want to play offensively. So I don't know if it's pressure as much as it's just an urgency to make sure that we're doing our best to activate all 11 offensively, whichever those 11 happen to be that particular snap, and giving those guys the best chance to just do what they do from a skill set standpoint. So a really good question, but more of an urgency than pressure, probably, I would say. It's a good question, though.
I know we've asked you about Bryce Perkins' development and just him in general throughout the preseason,
yep.
But what did you see in him over the last 3 to 4 weeks? And on top of that, just what value does he add as that third quarterback on the initial 53?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun for me to from start to finish. We obviously had a little bit limited off season last year, no off season leading into training camp. I was really no exposure to him other than some Zoom meetings before last year's training camp started. And then we start going to work with Bryce, and him and I set out on a plan that would kind of culminate with him playing in these preseason games at a really high level. And I cannot tell you how proud I am of him for the work he put in kind of behind the scenes to be prepared to play. Not always the most easiest of circumstances in those games, as you guys well know, but for him to lead that group, improve every single time he went out there, give us chances. I know we didn't come away with any victories, but for that group he was leading out there, and to put us in position to try to win football games, I was really proud of Bryce. And it just goes to show, it's really important around here. We present kind of a plan for guys to get better and improve every single day, and they trust the process, and they focus on that process, and the result will come. And that's exactly what he did, and I think it's a huge thing for our organization that a guy that, maybe the cards were stacked against him a little bit ends up making our roster. And I know every single guy in that locker room are really excited and proud of, to be Bryce's teammate.
If Stafford is the biggest addition, and he is, to the offense, how do you kind of rate the other changes, Cummings, goings, injuries, how it adds up around him?
Yeah, I think there's no question. You're the quarterback. There's no secret that the quarterback, especially when you get a guy like him, he's running the show. He's completely in charge of what we're doing out there, and he's got complete ownership. but we've really tried to add certain pieces around that position. Obviously, a guy like D-Jack and Tutu, and obviously just maybe not even changes, but just solidifying that group up front. Brian Allen having such a great camp and really taking ownership of that center position. And then just getting guys back healthy, the Tyler Higbees, Cooper, Robert, all these guys that have done so many great things for us over the years, having them at their best going into a season where we can really start to picture how this thing's going to look, focus on how we want to develop this thing so that everybody feels not only included, but they know how they're going to be activated, and then where they can really hone in on their preparation to be the best versions of themselves against the Bears on September 12th. But I think it's a complete group. That's one of the things we've really highlighted with the unit is it takes all 11, but we can have a lot of different groups of 11 players in there. Obviously we want to have those big guys up front, stay pretty consistent, but for the most part, how we can activate the different skill groups is huge for us.
Are you saying that the 10 around Stafford are an upgrade too? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I haven't been here for the whole process of all of the time that Coach McVay's been here, but when I look at, I just think getting the core group of guys that have been here for a while back healthy, at their best going into this season, and then the additions that we made, were made with a purpose to try to help this offense be the best possible version of itself that it could be. Whether that remains to be seen as far as upgrades and things like that. I don't like to get into comparing, this year to last, because we got a heck of a group now, and we're trying to just move forward with that group in the best way we can.
And just quickly, how do you see the tight end? Losing Gerald Everett.
Yeah.
Johnny Munn has been seen as more of a blocker.
Yep. And I think he's seen like that because he's really excelled at that skill set, but still, Matthew and I were talking about him today, actually, just how much of a vertical threat he can be. We all saw last year against Chicago, really in a week where we needed him, his playmaking ability with the ball in his hands, yards after catch, different ways we can activate him in our offense. And then, oh, by the way, he's one of the best, in my opinion, on the edge, blocking at the Y position, F position, however you activate those guys. And then I think having Tyler back healthy is so big for us, just because it's hard to explain, but just what he does as a comfort security blanket for the quarterback, very similar to what Cooper does in a lot of ways, where we can give him different options on routes, let him see coverage through the eyes the same way the quarterback is seeing it, and they could play together through things that maybe the same play could be called and the route could end up looking 2 or 3 different ways based upon our trust in him, and that's so huge for our offense. And then obviously with Bryson, Kendall, and then obviously Jacob. We've really used Jacob throughout training camp as kind of extended from the core, but every day will be a process for him, if we want to activate him in line or if we want to just keep on activating him outside. But Bryson and Kendall, those guys, we feel like it's as good of a group as I've been around, I know personally. And then obviously, at the top, having Higgs back healthy is so huge for us. Can't be understated.
Kevin, having been a backup quarterback and now working with quarterbacks, we know that you guys will talk to the starting quarterback to set plays for the first, the script or whatever you want to call it. Do you set aside and talk to the backups and say, hey, if you come in, what are the couple of plays you'd like to run, or is it situational, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think, the goal obviously is to always have the guys prepare off the same call sheet, the same volume, so that if something were to happen, we can still activate the game plan that was set for. The quarterback has a lot to do with it, but the players running those plays around him that we were just talking about, those guys are still going to hopefully be running those things. You mentioned situationally, that'll be something that you sit down with those guys and, hey, what are your favorite 3rd and 2 to 5 calls? What are your favorite red zone, inside the 5, inside the 10, whatever it is, calls that if you do go in there and we got to go win the game, we can activate, and then I can pass that information along to Sean, and we can all be on the same page about what maybe in the lack of reps, game reps that they've gotten, at least mentally, the stuff they feel most comfortable with. Guys, thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.